Good morning, and thank you everybody for joining me this fabulous Thursday morning, February 13th, for our OnBase Solutions Spotlight of OnBase Mobile Integrations going mobile. A few logistics. I'm Guy Schrader. Hopefully you can see my video on the screen here also. We're trying that out for the first time. I'm the Manager of Sales Engineering with Navient. I have been with the organization about 13 years and have been dealing with the OnBase product about 12 years. Have a technical background, so you can talk technical, you can talk sales to me. Makes no difference. Hopefully I can answer any questions that you might have pertaining to this presentation. A few logistics about the webinar. Your audio is muted. If you have any questions, please use the chat box that's presented inside of GoToWebinar. Over on the right side, down on the bottom, you can type any questions, and I'll circle around and try to answer those questions at the end of the presentation. And please take time at the end of the presentation to answer the survey that we have included. We want to understand what you want, what content that you want to have presented going forward, and also to get some feedback on how we're presenting. So please take the time to do that. So really quickly, the agenda. We are going to first talk about OnBase Mobile Integrations and go through really quickly what it is, why would you need it. We're going to show you a demonstration of the product, talk about what it actually does, how much it costs, and ultimately how do you get that particular product. So without any further ado, what is it? Well, this is an easy way to gain access to your OnBase documents when you're on the go, and as well as your processes. So extending that OnBase capability through your mobile device. We're going to decrease your overall processing time and increase your productivity at the same time by keeping OnBase at your decision maker's fingertips, again, wherever they might be in the world. So users are going to be able to perform searches, view documents as well as the keywords, deal with notes, adding, editing, deleting notes associated with the documents, create e-forms as well as upload documents, and execute your business decisions through the workflow processes. And all this is going to take place without any access to your computer, just your mobile device. So some of the platforms that Highland has developed for, they've actually developed this for the most popular platforms on the market right now. That includes Androids, both tablets as well as phones. There's a separate application for the iPad versus the iPhone, and there's also integrations that have been developed for the Windows Mobile, Windows Phone 7 as well as 8 platforms, and there is limited support on the Blackberry device since that seems to be starting to wane a little bit. So why do you need it? Some of the key benefits. Really improving your efficiency and effectiveness. Take that OnBase solution you already have that investment in and improve it by now extending that functionality out to your remote users. Convenient access to documents and processes while you're on the go. I've heard of many situations where customers of ours saying when they're meeting with their clients, they have to take a whole bunch of documents along just in case they might need them. And there's a lot of prep work for all of that, putting together those folders and lugging all that paperwork around. Well, think now, if you need that document and you have internet access through your mobile device, you can just retrieve those documents on the fly, pulling up the specific document that you need, again, on demand. Make familiar and repetitive workflow decisions very quickly, very easily, wherever you might be. You don't have to be sitting in front of your computer, so that's obviously a nice benefit. Leverage your existing investment in mobile technology. The devices that you already have, you don't need to throw them out. You don't need to buy new ones. Just utilize what you have, assuming that you're on one of the platforms that OnBase is supporting. So for your C-level, high-level employees, your managers, your travelers, think that they have immediate access to workflow to be able to make those decisions when work is being presented to them rather than waiting for them to get back in the office and handle those things. So that reduces the time of the entire process. You can also eliminate that dependency on all the different systems that they might be using. They might be using email to get those notifications. People might have to pick up the phone and call them or just leave them messages. So a lot of that redundancy goes away by having real-time access. And they can real-time interact with those documents that are stored in OnBase that are now being pushed out remotely to the device on demand, regardless of where they might be. So for your remote and field employees, think of all that unproductive time when they're traveling, where they don't have their laptop out in a settled location. They can go ahead and work with OnBase documents, work their OnBase queues, have those documents presented to them. Again, there's no reason that the process has to stop anymore because of the logistics of where your employees are. They can go ahead and perform and acknowledge their work order status, see that real-time status of the process wherever they might be. They can also create e-forms, capture pictures and signatures directly from the field. So again, that gets that processing time sped up significantly. Think if they're out there procuring new business or handling claims or whatever they do out in the field, and they have to create and store data or take pictures or documents, capture documents on the field, as soon as they capture that on the mobile device and submit it, it's automatically in OnBase. It automatically begins the workflow process. No more waiting for an employee to bring paper into the office, wait for those documents to get scanned, or anything else to take place. It happens immediately. So why do you need it? It's going to be a quick return on investment, so follow along with me relatively briefly. If you can save a manager 20 minutes per day to have that mobile access instead of finding their laptop or dealing with phone calls or whatever the case may be, for one manager, assuming that they make $100,000 a year, you're going to save them about $16 in productivity per day. Now extend that just across all of your different managers that are out there. Just 10 managers, it's $160 per day. That effectively is $40,000 a year of productivity savings that you have. You'll see on the later slide the pricing for OnBase and the mobile platforms. It's really just $5,000 per platform, so you can see that that's just a matter of months that you get a payback on your return on investment. So with that, let's jump into a demo here. I need to switch to another device here really quick. Hold on. Okay, let me get the right application up here. I'm going to start with my iPad device. And to get that started, there's a lot of juggling here, lots of cables, multiple devices, getting things started here. So follow along with me. Okay, here's my iPad application here. It's just really extending from what I happen to have sitting here in my hands. But you can see OnBase is an application that I can place on my desktop, freely downloadable today from the iTunes store for the iPad or the iPhone. You select that. I have a little bit of a delay here, so I'm kind of playing along with you here just to make sure that things are moving along efficiently. You still are going to have to authenticate. A typical question that I have, can we extend the authentication of our Active Directory to a mobile device? Well, no. Your mobile device is not connected to your network, so you are going to have your users authenticate to the system. But we can go ahead and connect here, and you can see our landing page once we're logged in, and I'm going in as a role of an accounts payable clerk. So here are the different things that I'm able to do from my iPad device. I can run custom query. This is just your standard OnBase custom query that's now been defined to extend to your mobile device. I can interact with workflow. If you have business activity monitoring and status view in OnBase, that can extend out to your mobile device. We can create a new form. We can upload some information, and we can actually bring documents once we've retrieved them from OnBase, take them offline and keep them locally on the mobile device until we delete them later. But let me run a few of these scenarios through so you can actually see what's happening here. I'm going to start with a custom query, so I'm running that. So based upon permissions as normal, here are the different custom queries that are available to me. Let's say I just want to go ahead and retrieve some accounts payable invoices. So similar to anything else in OnBase, once you select that custom query, you're going to be prompted with criteria for your search, whatever you happen to have published here. I'm just going to go ahead and retrieve invoice number 1110 and hit the little search. I'll try to use my mouse here so I can show you what I'm clicking at as we go along here. My search in the upper right-hand corner, that takes my keyboard away. Now you can see my search criteria on the left side and my results on the right side. There's my invoice number. Just like normal, that's my hit list from the OnBase system. I select it. It's now reaching into the OnBase system, wherever that might be hosted, returning back that document image. And now I can use all of my native features for my mobile device to go ahead and pinch to maybe zoom in, pan around the document. I know that this is not free-flowing as it's going around, but you can still always zoom into a particular region or zoom all the way back out to the complete document on your screen. Now notice a few of my options in the upper right-hand corner here. This first one here, that little down arrow, that's more or less saying I want to take this document offline. If I select that, you can see one of my options is to say this document is saved for offline access. I've already saved this offline previously. Do I want to overwrite it? If it hasn't been saved, I'll be prompted with the option still to save it offline, but it would then create a copy from the OnBase system and put it into an offline folder for this particular device. That's more or less going to, it's not really going to be for a revisable document. You truly do just have a copy of that document now on your local iPad. You're not going to be able to manipulate that and save that back into OnBase. It's just truly reference. The key up here, that's going to be my OnBase keywords. Go figure, a key for keywords. There you have it. You can see all of the information to that particular set of keywords. If there's like a cascading data set underneath that, you'll see that. And then rightmost, that's going to be my notes. When I select my notes there, you can see that I have nothing currently. I can just click on the plus here to create a new note. What are the different note types that are available to me? I'm going to select my green notes, and you can see that my keyboard is going to pop up here, and I can go ahead and start typing with the native keyboard that's integrated with my device. Save it. Now I have a note that's saved within the system. If I click off of that, notice that I now have a denotation that I have one note available for this particular document. So very simple things that you can do anytime that you retrieve a document. Keep in mind I'm dealing with image documents. Just a little further detail here. If you're dealing with other applications like a Microsoft Word document, Excel spreadsheet, PDFs, so on and so forth, those are going to be rendered by a third-party application on your mobile device. So for example, Microsoft Word document does not open natively within an iPad or an Android device. You need to have a third-party application. Oftentimes it comes bundled with that device. That's actually going to fire up and actually show that document. So don't expect a lot of interaction, especially things like ECM services for revisions and things like that. I have a nice little back button if I want to go ahead and navigate back to my prior screen. And just waiting for all this to load, I'm going to go all the way back to my first screen. Let's talk about workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and select that off my list here. So all the workflow that I have permissions for are going to show up here. So my life cycle, the top one, AP, non-PO based invoice review. Again, I'm logged in as an AP user. That's all I'm going to see. And the different queues that I have rights to, coding, approval, entered. And my AP PO based invoice review a little bit further down, and all the different queues that I have rights to view. So you can see that I'm currently highlighted on my coding. There's going to be multiple documents there. You know what, I'm going to go down to my PO based invoice review. I'm going to take a look at that exception just to see what's going on here. So similar, you have a nice little similar look and feel to it. You have your workflow filters that can be applied here. You have different sorts that can be applied. Single document, obviously I'm not going to highlight that at this point in time, but I've selected that particular document. Similar to document retrieval, it comes back to me. I have all the same capabilities for zooming and pinching, so on and so forth. Again, I still have the same option for my offline actions. I have my keywords, I have my notes. It happens to be the exact same document that I had before. Really what changes are these last two icons over here. I have my related documents that are available to me here. So like normal in workflow, we want to bring back all those documents pertinent for this workflow action to that user. That's still just a natural extension of OnBase workflow, but if I want to take a look at the packing slip that's related to this, the nice thing that happens on the iPad is it changes into a split screen view. My invoice remains viewable down in the bottom portion. My related document, in this case the packing slip, appears in the upper pane. You can see that I can go ahead and pan each of these different documents individually just to do all my workflow actions that I need to take place here. I can collapse specific sections, so if I want to get rid of that first document, I can just click on that up arrow, and then that's going to go ahead and collapse the related document and take me back to my primary only. My workflow actions are going to be behind this button, the upper right-hand most one. So there's my different tasks, my ad hoc tasks that are set up that, for example, if I just want to go ahead and send this to review, I click on that, and off goes my workflow. I didn't have any user interaction here. But maybe some different things that could take place, maybe let's go into that match queue just to show that a little bit further. Let's pull up that first invoice there. I'm going to go ahead and select my workflow actions that maybe I want to go ahead and perform my match. I remember my workflow properly. Watch what happens here. It's now reaching out into OnBase and retrieving a related document, which happens to be a Unity form. That Unity form has multiple tabs on it. The first tab is my invoice information, so really the header and the footer information for that. Notice I have a matching information tab here. I can go ahead and select that. That changes on over to now my secondary piece of information. This is my line item detail that I might want to be adding GL coding information or matching these items. In this case, I'm just going to hit that nice little checkbox that's way on the left side here. Notice that's now checked for me. I could add additional lines. These are, frankly, all Unity form capabilities to add a second line where I can go ahead and include quantity description, my price and amount, so on and so forth, all totaling. All of the Unity form logic works like it should natively within OnBase. If you haven't taken a look at Unity forms yet, please do. It's really improved significantly in version 13 of OnBase. But now I can just frankly click on Submit to save that particular Unity form, and my workflow match action has been taken care of. Okay. Again, that gets into the detail of workflow. I'm going to go all the way back to my main screen again. And again, I'm still working within my iPad. I'll come back and show you some of the differences for the Android application. But your workflow monitoring. So your business activity monitoring is one of the applications that is extended to the iPad. And this is something that's unique to the iPad application. This is not a feature that's built into the Android application, and I don't believe it's included within the iPad. So you can see some of the different layouts that I have. If you're familiar with business activity monitoring, this should look relatively familiar, where you have your different graphs, your pie charts, different graphical views that you can have extended for business activity monitoring to see real-time status into the processes. So here for this non-PO process, I have 2 documents that are in the entered queue, 2 that are in the approval queue, 4 that are in the coding queue. I show the invoice amounts and document counts down here, as well as any alerts or warnings. If I click on any one of those, you can see that my queue count has reached a high watermark of 3. Again, this is business activity monitoring that's configured natively with OnBase, just extending into the mobile platform here. So those managers that, even though they're remote, they can still monitor the process and see what's going on and stay in touch with what's happening back in the office, even though they are out of the office. 3 last things that I just want to talk about. The new form down towards the bottom. Again, if there is a business process that starts in the field, we want to allow people to go ahead and create e-forms. I'm going to take up this real simple one. I'm going to go ahead and create a time off request. And again, this is a Unity form that's created, so this is native Unity form functionality. But I can select any one of those fields. You can see that my keyboard pops up automatically. Using my nice little demo system, I can go ahead and select any employee ID. So your autofill keyword sets are going to be invoked automatically. So you can see that it found that employee ID 115 was Jane Harper. She's an RN in the nursing department, so on and so forth. Your drop-down fields will also populate properly. They should populate properly. But I'll go ahead and type in PTO here. There we go. We're going to say I want the entire day of today off. So date pickers, calendars pop up. Anytime that I'm selecting any of these fields, and I know I might be going just a little too fast, I got to remember that there's a little delay here, that I can go ahead and submit that. That now goes into the workflow process for our paid time off review. And like normal, if you have it set up, you can say, hey, you know what, prompt me to create an additional form. I'm going to say no. So that's your e-forms. Now, what if you actually had a process where maybe I need to capture a picture, think of a claims adjuster application, maybe I need to actually capture some documents. We can use the upload feature here. Now, I'm going to show you how beautiful it is outside in Verona, Wisconsin here, assuming that this comes up well. But you can see I can take a picture, or I can choose an existing document that's on my phone. See, you can't really see it really well, but normally I can see a whole bunch of buildings over there. It's whiteout conditions in Verona right now, so anybody to the west or south of us is not going to be too nice. There you can kind of see the snow coming down, assuming that that's refreshing well, and it's not refreshing overly well. But anyways, I can just use the camera, native functionality, to take a snapshot. Notice down at the bottom I have the ability to retake that photo or just to use that particular photo. If I use it, now I'm going to be prompted for my OnBase keywords, my document type and my keywords. Again, since I'm logged in as accounts payable, all that I really have access to are my accounts payable document types when I hit that drop down. There's nothing reasonable that I should drop this into, but just to show you, if I'm, say this is a vendor contract that maybe I've taken a picture of, now I can go ahead and index that, and in the upper right hand corner have the ability to upload that document back into OnBase. I'm going to scuttle this, just go back. Again, I don't want to show you all the pictures on, this is actually my wife's iPad, so I don't even really want to go there to find out what pictures might be available on her mobile device. And finally, the offline component. Offline is something that's available within the iPad. So think if you're going to be going out preparing for a meeting and maybe you only have Wi-Fi available on your iPad, you might want to go ahead and retrieve all those documents associated for this customer that you're going to be visiting or this client. Just retrieve them through a custom query. Say I want to take them offline. Now guess what? That document's available offline, that I can still see all of my keywords, my notes, and in this case, any related documents that might be associated to it. So that's really your OnBase cross-references if you've retrieved those different documents that go along with that. Okay, so that's really a quick summary of the iPad. I'm going to switch devices here and show you a little different screencast here. This is now an Android device that I happen to have in my hand. That again, each of these applications was built using native functionality of that platform. So Android's going to look a little bit different. I'm working with it in landscape view. I can flip it up to my portrait view, and you'll see, unfortunately, my screen doesn't rotate appropriately, but I can go either direction here. But let me stick here. Just a few subtle differences here. I'm going to log in as my OnBase HR user here. Authenticate in a similar fashion. For example, if I want to go ahead and retrieve some applicant information, my search looks a little bit different, but still similar capabilities that if I click on any of the fields, my keyboard's going to pop up automatically. Let me just do a wide open search here. My binoculars in the upper right-hand corner are going to allow me to do that wide open search. Maybe if I want to take a look at Cindy Smith's resume off of my hit list here. A few things that differ here, you can see that we have the keywords appearing automatically, our notes appearing automatically, and a thumbnail of that document appearing automatically. So it's going to be a little bit more efficient in the retrieval because I don't have to bring back that full image. We can just bring back that thumbnail when I click on View That Document. That's when it's truly performing that full transmission of that document across the internet to my mobile device. And since this is a two-pager, I have the controls in the upper right-hand corner to say, you know what, go to my next page, where now it's doing the retrieval of page 2 and displaying that. I also have the ability of saying, hey, I want to go to a specific page, especially if I'm dealing with a 50-page document. I can enter that specific page number to retrieve that. And I see a huge delay for those people on the go-to meeting. There it comes. All right, so I'm going to cancel out of that. I'm going to back out really quick. Workflow is going to be somewhat similar. A few of the nice features of the iPad just aren't quite there. Again, I have my HR hat on now. Maybe I'll go into that HR review time off request. Because guess what? My Jane Harper request down at the bottom. That's the one that I just submitted to show you a real live demo here. The exact same document that we had. Again, I can view that document. It's going to go ahead and retrieve it. Notice that I'm truly reviewing my document. I don't have my controls here to go ahead and take action on this. I have to go back to the prior screen where now in the upper right-hand corner I have my related document types. I have nothing. To view my workflow tasks, view the next button. There's my approve, deny, send back, and as well as refreshing any information there. So some subtle differences there. New form is going to be very similar. Upload is going to be quite similar. Notice I don't have the business activity monitoring. As I mentioned before, that's something specific to the iPad. I also do not have my offline feature. That is a feature that's specific to the iPad also. So with that, I'm going to switch back on over to my go-to meeting. And make sure I'm showing the proper screen here. There we go. I'm waiting for things to refresh. There we go. All right, so just to finish up here, and I know that we're really close to 10:30. I was promised to try to keep you on time. Just a brief summary of what does it do again. So refresher, we're going to do document retrieval via custom queries, viewing those keywords, working with the notes capability, viewing the document, potentially seeing related documents, workflow interaction, so we can execute those ad hoc tasks, perform the configured user interaction that comes along, such as populating that e-form and interacting with that, as we saw. Viewing the related documents is something that they knew that they added with version 13, so it's the most recent version of OnBase. Obviously, if you're on version 12, you're not going to get all of the capabilities of the system, so we need to go ahead and consider upgrading if you're looking at purchasing this module to get all capabilities. We've been able to create an e-form, but now, through e-forms, Unity forms, we can attach a document to that e-form. Didn't show you that specifically here, but that's really a Unity form capability more so than something that's defined within the mobile application. Signature capture, again, didn't show you that, but we can go ahead and capture a signature directly on the device if the Unity form has been configured appropriately for that signature capture. We can do that photo capture and upload like we talked about. We can bring those documents offline for the iPad, and we can also do that business activity monitoring dashboard on the iPad only also. So just a few qualifications here. Blackberry is quite limited to just workflow interaction. The custom queries aren't there, so if you're on the Blackberry platform and looking to do this, evaluate it further. There's going to be some limitations to it in comparison to what I just showed you. Windows Phone, you cannot create an e-form or perform a photo capture or upload at this point in time. That may change in the future, but again, with version 13, that's where it currently stands. And if you really wanted to take a look at specific features and functionality, if you have access to the Highland user communities, search for the Mobile Access Features Matrix within the Mobile Access Modular Reference Guide. That has all the details of what platform each of the different features and functionality are available on. So now the million-dollar question, how much does it cost? This is very economical, folks. It's $5,000 per platform. If you have Android users, it's $5,000 for all of your users. You just need to make sure that you have the appropriate client licensing available for those users, either concurrent or named users. Same thing goes for workflow, other features and functionality. If you have this part of your base OnBase solution, you're going to be good. Again, different platforms, it's $5,000 per platform. Everybody can use it. Some other OnBase licenses apply, as I mentioned, your client licenses, your workflow licenses, and just one related module to pick out. If you deal with insurance and have field adjusters that are out there, there is truly a Windows 8 application that's been developed by Highland for an insurance field adjuster app. Nice, valuable information if that's your specific life that you lead. How do you get it? Pick up the phone, send an email to your Navient account executive. They'll be able to get you all that information. We'll do some pre-qualification to make sure that you meet all the requirements and the like, but we should be good to go. And with that, questions and answers. I'm more than happy to see if any questions have come into this point. Looking at my panel, I see a question. Let me see if I can size this. Unfortunately, I have to try to do this
looking at one line at a time. Do the notes work now? We have never been able to use them. Could you address security if we have docs with confidential information? Okay, I think that's a couple different questions. Notes, as far as I'm aware, work perfectly fine. It might very well be a security permission, because remember, your notes are very granular in nature. You can say specifically for your different users and groups who has rights to view, modify, delete, and create your different notes. So there may be something dealing with that. If you need more information, I'd suggest that you contact support on that one. Could you address security? If we have docs with confidential information, how are they transmitted to the mobile device? Great question. So how things work, nothing is stored locally on the device for any period of time. It's just really retrieving that document from OnBase, saving it for display only, and then as soon as you close off that application, there's no remnant of that document left on that particular device. That's for retrieval from OnBase. So if you had redactions, other things like that set up on the document, you would be pulling that redacted version, so you shouldn't really have to worry about any security from that perspective. Conversely, if you're taking a picture of something and submitting that into OnBase, the question always comes up saying, what happens to that picture that I just took? Still a little variability with that answer. I believe at this point in time, when you truly say, take a picture and upload that into OnBase, that document is not stored in your local picture file whatsoever. Obviously, if you're browsing for a picture or a file that you took natively outside of OnBase, we're not going to wipe it out. That's going to stay on that particular device. So I hope that might answer your question, Carl. And I don't see any other questions at this point in time. I'll stick on for a few more minutes, so if there are any additional questions that you might have, please feel free to share them through the chat panel or even pick up the phone and give me a buzz. No issue answering your questions from there. Just a pitch for some other upcoming events coming up hosted by Navient. We are going to be having an executive webinar. It's a 30-minute best-in-class practices for accounts payable automation webinar. I'll be presenting that on March 11th, so add that to your calendars. I think that that's already been publicized and marketed by our group. And the next Navient support webinar is going to be on OnBase reporting. That'll take place on March 19th. And please save the date on your calendars for the next Navient ECM Leadership Summit, which is going to take place on October 13th and 14th at the Harley-Davidson Museum in downtown Milwaukee. So new destination, should be lots of fun, and share all that information that we normally share. So with that, thank you so much for attending. I'm sorry that we're just a few minutes over, but again, there's always so much information to try to share with this. So thank you again, and have a great day, everybody.